Zach and Amanda, you both look lovely. It's great to be back with you doing another Slugfest. And, I guess we should just jump right into it, as they say. So we should answer the question that's on everyone's mind. Zach, for reality competition series, is this going to be yet another year in which we get the exact same nominees as last year?
Probably. I don't know. I mean, yeah, unless like The Bachelor can rally. I don't know. Like it's yeah, I mean I basically have all of last year's nominees, and what I'm looking for is just a new winner. I think that I count myself among the millions of fans who were really heartbroken when RuPaul's Drag Race lost after getting so many nominations and seeming like it could actually win over The Voice, and then to see it defeated by The Voice in the end, I think was not just kind of heartbreaking, but also just kind of like again with this. So let's have some fresh blood here. Like not to knock The Voice at all, but I'm pulling for RuPaul again.
Yeah, The Voice has won 4 times now. Amanda, how do you feel? Do you have the same nominees as last year?
I do, but I'm wondering if the Harvey Weinstein of it all might knock Project Runway out of there.
Yes.
Because I think that, and you know what, it's not their fault, but we might see a lot of shows affected by association with people who have been assholes. To just wrap this up quickly, if you don't know what's happened, you just give it a Google. It won't take very many clicks. But that's the one I worry about. And then I don't think American Idol's getting back in. They didn't nominate the finale season. And I just think it's kind of the same old shtick on a different network. So,
yeah, I think we have to watch out for American Idol in that it could be a spoiler, which is a term that's often misused. But like if it gets nominated, I don't think it's going to win, but it could steal a lot of votes from The Voice. We kind of saw that in the ratings where it stole some of The Voice's thunder. It variably beat it, surprisingly. American Idol last competed at the Emmys 2 years ago. They ended, and then later that night they said, "Let's bring it back." So here they are. Yeah, that's one I could see sneaking in. I agree that Project Runway is the one that's on the shakiest ground. At the Producers Guild Awards, they have fewer slots. So the last 2 years, they've nominated 4 of the 6 nominees that we have here, and then they also nominate Lip Sync Battle, which the Emmys classify differently. So they nominate The Voice, The Amazing Race, American Ninja Warrior, and Top Chef. And the ones that they don't nominate, surprisingly enough, are RuPaul's Drag Race and Project Runway. So I think RuPaul's safe, but Project Runway fell out a few years ago from there. So I think it's probably going to fall out at the Emmys one of these years, and this would be a time to do it given its ties to Weinstein. Although we did think that The Voice's ties to Trump through Mark Burnett and The Apprentice might have some ramifications on it winning last year, and that turned out.
And can I just say that if he gets nominated, you need to show up to the ceremony. You can't keep chickening out because everyone wants to blame you for this. So you've got to come. You've came every other year, and now all of a sudden, since everybody hates you,
come get publicly shamed by all the followers. Is what Amanda's saying.
Yeah, please come because we all have a few things we'd like to say. Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't even think about the Weinstein thing with Project Runway. I mean, I knew he was a producer on the show, but I guess I just didn't even really associate him with it that much. So I wonder. I mean, that's a good point you bring up. Because, I mean, we're looking throughout all these categories at men who are not going to be nominated and a lot of women who are going to be tied up in that as well because they're on shows that are associated with these men. So, it's an interesting point. If enough people remember that he's a producer on that show, would they feel kind of icky about voting for it?
Well, and it's not going to be hard to forget when his company's logo used to be at the end credits. So,
I mean, if they're still watching the show anyway, I mean, do they even look at these programs? I think they just are like checking them
I haven't watched Project Runway in a long time, but that's because I don't usually watch Lifetime television.
Right.
Yeah. ultimately, I still have the 6 in from last year, not just because it's the safe thing to do, but also how I talked about how there's like the split with the 4 that get in at PJ and the 2 that don't. The 2 that don't actually got in at both the Critics' Choice Awards and the Television Critics Association, so they do have their own kind of buzz still. Yeah, I'm not sure if I've much else to say about this one. So, what do you think about reality host, where we will see some shakeup due to a lot of new people coming in that were not eligible last year?
I still want to see Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg win. I don't know why. I think it would be hilarious. I think Snoop Dogg should use this platform to say, you've never given me a GD Grammy, and now I have an Emmy. I just think it would be awesome. I don't know if Queer Eye can get in, because 5 hosts might be too many.
It does seem kind of like a cheat, but I think they're locked.
Yeah, I have them getting in as well. I also, I mean, I still have RuPaul winning this year. Just, I mean, looking at the list of people, I don't see anybody who's like come along, except for maybe Queer Eye. I don't know, but I'm just looking around here to see if there's anybody that's had like a big breakthrough on one of these shows. That would kind of be like the hot new person to vote for, and I don't see it.
Maybe possibly if United Shades of America does better in total nominations, W. Kamau Bell could do it, because he's the one doing more of an informational reality series than a next up on The Voice kind of a thing. So but typically this category comes in 3s or 4s. I mean, we saw Jeff Probst win 4 or 5. Jane Lynch won 2. RuPaul's won 2. So unless you're hosting Dancing with the Stars, which never made sense, they usually come in groups. So if you win one, you look really good to repeat the next year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Jane Lynch was not eligible last year, but her show came back this year, so she could come back in. Yeah, I'd say the Queer Eye people are the new people that made a breakthrough that could get in. And other than that, I'm just kind of looking at the familiar faces, people that the Emmys might like from other things. Like, I'm not sure how many people were voting for Alec Baldwin because of his work on Match Game, but they like Alec Baldwin, and he's still doing his SNL stuff. So I think he'll get back in. I think we should watch out for Neil Patrick Harris. We should watch out for Ellen DeGeneres, her show actually got decent ratings. Watched by millions of people, unlike say Project Runway.
Yeah, and again, they might just be guilty by association, which is unfair, but that's how these things tend to work.
The thing about Snoop Dogg is that he actually has a second performance in contention this year in this category, which I feel like lessens the novelty of voting for Snoop Dogg as a reality host, because now it's like, oh, okay, like that's actually his job.
It's the odd couple. Come on, Martha Stewart, prim and proper. Yes, she went to jail, but she can make a croquembouche, and then Snoop Dogg. I just think it's hilarious. I don't watch a lot of reality TV, but I think they're funny. So,
yeah. I'd say that like United Shades of America, that's not a show that is getting in off of name checking like these other big names. So I'd say that one's pretty safe. But I don't think that Heidi Klum and Tim Gunn will come back, because they've been nominated the last 5 years. And, at a certain point, they're not going to be nominated forever, I don't think. And then, as we were talking about how Project Runway might be on the outs anyway.
Yeah, I took them out in favor of some of these other, like Alec Baldwin and Queer Eye and Jane Lynch and W. Kamau Bell. And do you think Gordon Ramsay will get back in after finally getting in last year? I have him in just because,
I think he just took Ellen. I think he just took Jane Lynch's spot. I think it's Jane Lynch again.
Well, I enjoy his cooking programs, damn it. So I hope he get.
I like the junior one. I don't like the one where he's yelling all the time. I'm like, seriously?
Well, some of these people need to get it through their heads that, you got to learn how to cook properly if you're going to be with the big boys.
I have enough trouble cooking without getting yelled at. So
yeah,
we can talk about that later.
All right, so we'll move over to the 2 variety series categories that we have in the Gold Derby Prediction Center. First of all, we'll talk variety talk series, where John Oliver keeps winning. Also nominated is Samantha Bee, Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel, Bill Maher, James Corden. I actually have James Corden falling out and Seth Meyers coming in.
There's
How do
not
you feel
6
about that?
nominees? Aren't there 6?
Yeah,
He named
Sorry.
off. He named off 6. Those were the.
Oh,
6.
you had Bill Maher. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. It doesn't really matter who the other 5 are because we all know this is going to go to John Oliver again. So, way to put on one great hour of television a week.
Half hour.
Half hour of television a week. I'm sure the other 4 or 5 of them should make another joke at his expense for that. So, yep. He's just going to keep winning till he gets up there in the teens, probably.
Amanda, do you think it'll be the same 6 as last year? And this is another one of those categories where that does happen.
Possibly. I would look out maybe for Jimmy Fallon since he's, taken some hits during voting. So that might be a little bit of a rallying cry. Where he's like, I'm too busy to tweet at Donald Trump. Why is he tweeting at me? Doesn't he have there might be a little bit of that for him, but for the most part, yeah, I think it's the same 6, and look out for Samantha Bee. She's going to be probably his biggest competition.
I think if Seth Meyers was going to get in, this would be a good year for him to. I think he came close last year. You make an interesting point about Corden being the one dropping out because he's been consistently in since the show came on the air. Looking at I think that again, they're going to continue to go with the sort of anti-Trump shows, and Corden, for all of his qualities, is not exactly a very politically minded person on his.
That's why I like it.
Yeah, no. That's not a knock on the program. It's a fantastic show, and it's really great for what it is. It's almost more like a variety sketch series than it is a variety talk series. Maybe he could compete in sketch next year and actually win the Emmy. Just to throw that out to you, Jimmy. But I feel like that could happen, or Bill Maher goes in and out. Seth Meyers keeps trucking along, trying to get in there. I think it's got to happen eventually, and maybe this year would be the year.
Yeah, he's been nominated in writing, so he has that foundation.
Mm-hmm.
I find with Corden, I think he's kind of more what they used to nominate, and maybe they're kind of moving on from that, moving over to the more political stuff. Like how Bill Maher fell out a couple years ago, and then it seemed like last year he might fall out again because, saying the N-word, it seemed like the perfect time if they were going to do that. But I think he's on such an upswing, and he has such politically charged content, and that's the direction that they're heading in. Corden was also dropped from directing last year. He's never gotten writing or editing. He was dropped from PGA this year, and he's never gotten DJ or WGA. So I think he's past his peak at the Emmys, and Seth Meyers is someone who I think is on the rise.
Plus, they always continue to reward him somehow with the Emmys. The show has won 3 Emmys. For interactive program, and then the carpool karaoke thing, which are great places to reward that show because those are the things, those are the qualities that stand out about that program. The way that, yeah.
Regardless of the nominees, last year we saw that John Oliver had more nominations than any of the others practically combined. Like you had to add up all the other 5 shows to barely get 1 or 2 nominations above what John Oliver had on his own. So, getting a writing and directing nomination is great and a series nod, but when you've got the support of the lighting directors and the makeup people and he's sitting behind a desk in a suit, it doesn't matter, folks. He's gonna win again because he had more nominations than Atlanta last year. Let's be realistic about this.
Yeah. I would say, I do agree with you that Samantha Bee, another person who puts on a half hour a week, I might add, would be the one who would probably take him down. It's interesting. For a long time in this category, we would see The Daily Show win one year and Colbert win the next year, and then it would kind of alternate between that. So I do wonder if eventually we're going to see sort of a trend like that. Maybe Samantha Bee could win
9 years in a row or 10 years in a row of Jon Stewart, and then Colbert won 3 or 4, and then they gave it to Jon Stewart one more time. And Jon Stewart tried to throw this to Conan one year. That episode he submitted was a piece of crap that year. It's like, I'm going to try and not win. And they still give it to him. So, but I think that with the feminist movement, Me Too, Time's Up, Samantha Bee might be in a good position, and that would be a huge award for TBS. She's all they've got to really push. So,
yeah, just going back to what you said about James Corden, like I'm impressed by how many ballots he's managed to get himself onto this year. Even stuff that like I don't watch the show regularly, but there are spin-offs from it that are eligible in other program categories. Or he is the only name that I recognized on the short form actor ballot because he's starring as James Corden in James Corden's Next James Corden.
I saw that.
I'd be surprised if he wasn't nominated for that. Just because.
Are you consulting with him to like tell him how to get himself on as many ballots, Riley, within the rules? Or
He doesn't need me for that. He's figured it out just fine.
He's trying to get more Emmys than like James L. Brooks. This guy, and in a shorter amount of time too.
How many was Louis nominated for that one year? Like 10? So is he trying to break that kind of a record? Like,
I guess so, yeah.
I feel like it was 7, but I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, we don't care about him anymore. So.
Yeah, but Amanda, you were talking about how like John Oliver, he shows up in directing. This year, it'll really mean something because variety directing is another one of those categories that has proportional nominees based on how many submissions there are from sketch versus talk shows. Like we're seeing now, that's creeped over into comedy directing where there's multi-camera and single camera, and you have to have a certain number of each. So this year there were just as many sketch shows that submitted for directing as talk shows. So half the nominees are going to be from sketch shows. Last year, SNL and Drunk History were the nominees. I'm thinking this year that we'll get SNL and Double Portlandia because it's last year. But yeah, how do you feel about the sketch series category where we have 2 openings?
Well, as far as sketch series is concerned, last year SNL had the most nominations tied with Westworld. So it did something it's never done. It won 9 Emmys. That's a lot of Emmys. It was really hard for them to keep that kind of momentum going for another year. So they're going to have a dip. But I think it really depends on how many nominations Portlandia and what the gap is between Saturday Night Live and Portlandia as far as nominations are concerned. The one thing with Key and Peele, this is ironic, that we really didn't pay attention to the year they upset in this category was that SAG Ensemble nomination. Like, none of us paid attention to it. And we're supposed to be somewhat experts in this. We all just went with Amy. But I think they might have a chance. SNL didn't have the best year. But we're just going to have to see how the nominations fall.
Yeah, I mean, I think they could either just default to Saturday Night Live, which did not have as talked about a season this year as they had last year, and I don't think is going to have as many nominations this year as they had last year. They could still default to it, or if they are feeling like they want to A, reward something new, and B, honor Portlandia, then I think that would be the natural alternative for them. Because just there's not a Key and Peele in this category or a Amy Schumer, a show that would like be the kind of natural, the other kind of selection for this. I mean, there's some good shows on here, but they're not quite at the the buzz level or the prestige level yet as something like a Portlandia or a Saturday Night Live.
I would look out for Tracy Ullman because if it's like a split year, they like her. She beat all the guys that year when she won this category. And when they were combined, and no one saw that one coming. Mm-hmm. Neither her did she, because she sprinted up there like it was a race to get. So she's on HBO. Mm-hmm. I love her, Judi Dench and Maggie Smith. I think they're hilarious. But I agree. I don't think there's one clear. The thing that helps SNL is there's not one clear alternative. Ooh. Did you kick him out? That's mean, Riley.
My hands are here. Yeah, I think what's different about Portlandia versus like Key and Peele or Inside Amy Schumer is that Portlandia, I feel like peaked maybe 5 years ago, back when it was getting into writing, getting into directing, getting acting nominations for Steve Buscemi or Fred Armisen, whereas they've kind of just been getting into this category and maybe production design for the last few years. So I think we'll have to watch in the nominations to see like can they get those double directing nominations that I'm predicting. Can they get Kyle MacLachlan into guest actor finally for playing the mayor, that kind of thing. Otherwise, I'd say SNL is a very safe bet. For the last two slots to replace Billy on the Street and what was the other one? Documentary Now, I've got Nathan for You, just because it's one of the few contenders here with any kind of guild history. It's been nominated at the Writers Guild the last couple of years, and it even got in to a variety special this year at the Writers Guild, just indicating that there's a surplus of support, at least among that branch. And they also had that that kind of viral Emmy campaign video. Did you guys see that one?
I did, yeah.
Where he's talking about how you could hack the Emmys, which was like a solid, I think, 3 minutes, and then it went on for another 8 or something. But still, at least they're putting themselves out there. And then my last nominee, I've got the Joel McHale Show, just because I feel like he's been on The Soup, he's been on Community. Maybe this is his, Margot Martindale moment. Where
I feel bad for her. We gotta find a new way of describing.
I was going to say Ann Dowd, and I was like, I better mention Margot Martindale at least once. But Gold Derby is aggregately predicting the Sarah Silverman show called I Love You, America, and also Amy Sedaris's show called At Home.
I'm really rooting for Nathan for You, actually. I do have that in my predictions. I think that's an absolutely brilliant show that has not been recognized yet. It's a very uncomfortable at times show to watch, but I mean, it's absolutely hilarious. I mean, some of the things that he did this year with like the chili suit or having like a Michael Richards impersonator come to like give a check, give a tip to a restaurant. I mean, it's just absolutely, it's brilliant, but that's what I'm rooting for.
Who do you have in your last few slots? Do you know?
I have that, and I have I Love You, America.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you make a case for that one?
For I Love You, America? I mean, Sarah Silverman's got a ton of Emmy nominations and a couple of wins, so I could see them just voting for her out of sheer name recognition alone, and I mean, it's also a Hulu show. Yes, thank you. I was going to say topical. That was the word I was searching for. Since, I mean, she travels around America trying to meet Trump supporters and things like that. But, I mean, you bring up Hulu, and, after they won the Emmy last year, I think that, we'll talk about this in drama series and in limited series as well. The floodgates are open for Hulu shows now to get Emmy nominations. So since it's a network that they're watching, that could help with I Love You, America.
Well, it's the one program on Hulu that I don't feel like I need an antidepressant for. So that's The Looming Tower and Handmaid's Tale is not something you want to watch in a back-to-back rotation.
You're forgetting about all the fine programming that they have of classic televisions, like the Golden Girls. So you don't need any Prozac for that.
Well, if you're watching their originals,
I know.
I'm like, you guys need to hire somebody to get you guys a comedy, because oh my god.
Yeah.
I will say that Sarah Silverman, I think, consistently surprises us at the Emmys with how much they like her. If she's getting in for comedy lead actress for Sarah Silverman program, or she's winning variety special writing for We Are Miracles, she usually shows up in places that we're not quite expecting.
And she won over Billy Crystal. Let's make this a little bit more significant as far as why we're bringing up her writing win. Like, no one saw that one coming. Like
even last year, how she's nominated for variety special writing again over Dave Chappelle.
Mm-hmm. And I wonder if Kevin Hart is popular enough to sneak in to this.
Oh, for the, yeah.
Yeah, there's not a solid 6. I mean, if you're playing with your points, this might be a place to, like, you know, put 100 to 1 person in there. Sometimes they do pay off more at the Emmys than they do at other award shows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in the prediction center, we've got our main 6 who are predicted by hundreds of people, and then there's an immediate drop off. 7th and below is predicted. Those ones are predicted by mere dozens, and they all have 100 to 1 odds.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well,
I think we've done this one.